Hello friends, Patrick here. This is going to be a rather long video, but it's very, very important video. So if you don't have time to watch it all, I pray that you'll set aside some time, maybe a little later, whenever you have a free moment, a half an hour to spare or something. Or maybe you can double speed it and get through it, because I got a lot that I really need to cover today. So let me start. First, I want to let you know that the move has gone great. We have moved. We are in the new location, and God allowed us to move. So I have to mention a couple of books today. The first one is this book right here. It's called God is Not One. It was written by Stephen Prothero. Written is a kind term. It says, the 8 rival religions that run the world and why their differences matter. I'm only going to spend a very brief moment talking about this book, and I'll sum it up in the title. Okay? The title, it says God is not one. Okay? If I were to write a book and I were to entitle it, The Bushes Are Not Green. I'm looking at the bushes behind me here. The Bushes Are Not Green would be the title of the book. And I would go in and maybe I could talk about the stems and maybe the dirt on the ground or something in between them. And I'd say, look at here. You see here? These bushes are brown. And maybe over here they're black. And maybe over here they're yellow. And maybe over here. The bushes are not green. See, I'm going to spend, you get where I'm going? If I were to write a book called The Sky Is Not Blue and talk about the clouds are white and the clouds are gray and you get the idea, the metaphor, the analogy I'm talking about? There is nothing, I've never read a book more futile. Maybe obtuse would be a good word. More, the very premise of the book is I can't even describe it. The book itself reinforces the concept that God is one, and he titles the book God. It's written by an agnostic / atheist that wants to point out the difference. Theism pervades the 8 major religions that he talks about. And I'm going to be talking about theism today. Theism is the foundation of the human experience amongst the 8 major religions. So this book it's rare that I would ever throw a book out. But this book is so useless, is so poorly founded. The premise of the book itself is as if I were to say to you, I want you to write a book called The Sky Is Not Blue. That's all I have to say about it. I could go into more detail, but it's not worth my time, attention, words. It is a complete and utter failure. And this is a rare book that I will actually put in the recycle bin and throw it out, because it deserves to be banished for all of eternity into the refuse pile. This is the second book that I just recently picked up. It's called The Psychology of Totalitarianism by a gentleman by the name of Matthias Desmet. Now apparently he's from Belgium, and so English is not his first language. But whoever translated it did an absolutely phenomenal job. It's published in 2022. It's very current, and I was surprised at the endorsements, that it's endorsed by Peter McCullough, Charles Eisenstein, Dr. Rainer Fuellmich, Heather Haying, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Dr. Robert Malone, and last but not least, by any means, Eric Clapton, no less. If this was the only book I was allowed to read this year, or for the next, or for the past 5 years, how much would I pay to get access to this book if it was on eBay and it was auctioned and there was only one sold per month, or one sold per week, or one sold per day? How much would I bid on this book? I've only read up until page, I haven't even finished the first chapter. I've only read up until page 21. And I would pay hundreds of dollars to get access to this book, to be honest with you. But I don't want to exaggerate, but I just want to share a portion of this book with you because of the value that this author is directing the reader towards. Does that make sense? I just want to, I'm not, you know, I hate to read word from word on a book when I'm, you know, but I can't help it. I just want to briefly, this is from page 18, it's from the first chapter. And he says, to the extent that the scientific discourse became an ideology, it lost its virtue of truth-telling. And he goes in, all footnoted from that point on, and he talks about the current state of scientific discourse on page 18, and he goes all the way through, supporting all his statements through page 19, giving mind-expanding examples all the way until his conclusion of this one section to the end of page 22, and the summation of the last sentence. This one section is so powerful. The summation, it stands or falls on the ethical or moral quality of the expert, that is, his subjective human characteristics. Now that's hard to put into context because I'm skipping what he presents. But what he presents is a revelation of truth. That's what I would describe it as. Again, the first sentence, the scientific discourse has lost its virtue of truth-telling. And the last sentence, the ethical and moral quality of the expert. Okay. Those are the two books that I wanted to cover today. And I'm going to be talking more about this book because I've only just started it. Now, let me just move forward. Theism and idolatry. First of all, we have to ask the question, what is idolatry? Traditionally, it has been seen as worshiping something, a thing, you know, like a created idol, obviously, or the state, you could say, right? Or the other definition is sitting down to eat and drink and standing up to play. That's another definition of idolatry. But I believe that we need to expand the definition of the word idolatry to the concept of self-justification. Self-justification is a definition that could be used for idolatry. Science has fallen into idolatry. I saw a video, and this is why I want to mention the video, of a gentleman. I'll put a link to the video in the comment section. that had lost his ability to have self-awareness. And so he justified his actions as acceptable even when he was faced with video of his actions showing his dishonesty and showing his lies, and the transcript of the conversation that occurred showing his untruthfulness, showing his lack of ethics. And that's a rather long video. I believe it's 40 minutes or something long, and it covers a central section of the video, so maybe I can truncate it perhaps for you. And so that man was in the grip of idolatry. He was completely and totally committed to self-justification. Justification outside of theistic belief is idolatry. I have friends who are Muslim, I have friends who are Hindu, and I share a camaraderie with them as a theist, that they have self-awareness. They have not lost their self-awareness. They acknowledge the importance of our Creator, our mutual Creator. So I am a theist first and foremost. That's what gives me this connection to people of other faiths. And we get along swimmingly, so to speak. The fact that I happen to be a Christian is kind of after the fact. Even though it may be important to me, may be important to other people, theism is the opposite of idolatry. Theism accepts responsibility for one's failings. The opposite of theism, I used to think, would be atheism or even agnosticism. I now believe that the opposite of theism is idolatry. The opposite of theism is self-justification. Remember the statement when the person said to the Messiah, "Good teacher." And he said, "Why do you call me good? There is none good but God alone." In that statement, Christ gave an example that he did not try to justify himself. Do you see that? He depended upon God, the Creator, for justification. Even though he was, as Christians like to remind us, the Son of God, or one with God, or even God himself, or divine. However you want to express your view on that particular religion or denomination or what have you, so on and so forth. Theism. Christ was a theist. Jesus was a theist. He said, why do you call me good? There's one good. He did not try to justify himself. Once a person tries to justify themselves, they fall into idolatry. What are scientists trying to do today? They are trying to justify themselves. What does Justin Trudeau try and do today? He tries to justify himself. He gives reasons for why he's doing what he's doing. What does any corrupt politician try and do today? They try and justify themselves. They have fallen into idolatry. This is the problem of the world today. What happens to a society that falls into idolatry of the two different kinds that we talked about earlier? Either worshiping a stone image and sacrificing their children on the steps of a stone pyramid. Those civilizations fail. They become destroyed. We've seen that through history, haven't we? Or the other type of idolatry, which is simply to feed oneself, to sit down to eat and drink and to stand up to play. Total self-indulgence. That's another type of idolatry. What happens to that individual? They end up destroying themselves, don't they? Or getting destroyed by the things that they attract into their lives through their actions. But there's another type of destruction. And that is if we expand that definition of idolatry to self-justification, we see where it leads. It results in the destruction of truth. This is what this gentleman is talking about. Matthias Desmet. I've only read 20 pages of this book, and this author, I guarantee you, has insights on what is wrong with the world today. Powerful insights. I'm almost scared to finish this book because this deserves a special place. I hate to elevate something too much, but you know, I hate to say it, but this deserves, like, you know, a big section in my library where this sits by itself. I mean, I've only read a short bit of it, and I'm sorry for exaggerating, but in comparison to this, which is not worth the paper it's printed on. And so these concepts that I wanted to cover and share with you today are extremely, extremely important. I have to look at my own heart, my own life. Am I justifying myself? Remember that scene where Tony Montana is near the end of the story? He's on the downhill slope. The movie Scarface is a tragedy. Shakespeare told us what a tragedy is. It's where the hero dies in the story, right? That's what a tragedy is. That's what we call a tragedy, when the hero dies. In this case, it would be the anti-hero, I suppose. Tony Montana wasn't really a hero, was he? He was a criminal, I suppose. But there's a scene in the movie where he says, "Even when I lie, I'm telling the truth." The compelling nature of that soliloquy, that speech that he gave, is that he does not try to justify himself. He knows he's a gangster. He knows he's the bad man. He says, "You need me so that you can say, there goes the bad man." He provided a service to the people around him so that they could point at him and say, "That's a bad man. I'm not a bad man. There's the bad man." You see that? And so to interpret that scene, we have to look at ourselves and say, am I the bad man? The theist would say, yes, that's why I need justification from something outside of myself. I am the bad man. I need my Creator to heal me. I need Him to save me. I need Him to rescue me from myself. That's what theism is all about. To call upon God for His mercy, whatever religion you happen to be, whether you're a Muslim, a Hindu, a Christian, Jewish, you're in the same boat. You need to call upon your Creator to rescue you from yourself. That's what I need. If I didn't need that, or if I thought I didn't need that, if I justified myself and said, I don't need that, I would lose my self-awareness. I'm going to put a link to that video of a gentleman who lost his self-awareness, so that even when he lies, he doesn't think he's doing anything wrong. He thinks, well, no, this is really what should be. And he is caught in the very depths of dishonesty through a transcript, through a video. And he says, well, no, I saw it this way. This is how I saw it. This is how I just... That's what happens when a person falls into complete and utter idolatry. This is what happens when a person abandons God. And this is what is wrong with society today. We have too many people in positions of power, whether they be scientists, politicians, businessmen. They are in positions of power and influence, but they have fallen into idolatry, so they've lost the self-awareness of their own abject misery. What Christ said, that they are miserable, poor, and naked, and they don't realize it. They think, oh, because they've become rich, that they are able to justify themselves, and they're not. He said, you don't realize that you're miserable, poor, and naked. You think you're rich, but you're actually the opposite. This is what Christ told people. They said, you need your heavenly Father to straighten you out one way or the other, either on this life, the next, or some way. No wonder he said, unless you're born again, you're not gonna see the kingdom of God. You're just gonna end up in misery, idolatry, and destruction. And this is brought home to me so much clearer today for just a brief moment when I wake up and it flashes in front of my eyes. What a blessing it is to be able to have somebody pour into my heart and mind their perceptions of truth, so that I can get a tiny taste of truth. I would pay $100 to read 10 pages of truth rather than waste a moment of my time on something that is false. If somebody told me, Patrick, I want you to go write a book about why the sky is not blue, about why those bushes behind you are not green, how much time would I waste on that? Why should I waste time on that? It's not worth my time. Not even for a second. But when we get a glimpse of truth, and we see it, we taste it, we smell it, we're not sure what it is, but even if Tony Montana is talking about it, it's compelling. We say, yes, this guy is being truthful. He's the bad guy. He hasn't lost his self-awareness. He hasn't fallen into idolatry. And this is what has happened today. And so I'm going to pray. I pray that our leaders in this country, whether it's the leader of the Conservative Party, the leader of the Liberal Party, the leader of the NDP, I pray for each and every one of them. I pray for Jagmeet Singh. I pray for Justin Trudeau. I pray for Pierre Poilievre. Sometimes I can't pronounce their names properly. Poilievre, I'm not sure. Trudeau, that's an easy one to pronounce. But I pray for all of them, that they would not fall into idolatry, because they are responsible for leading this country. And unless we call upon God for His mercy, then we are no different from the ancient civilizations that sacrificed people on stone altars, thinking that they could appease the gods somehow in their ignorance. The universal binding force behind all the world's religions is theism, is an acknowledgement that we have a creator that created this blessed state that we're in. I mean, look at the trees and the sunshine today and the first day of summer. It's a magnificent day today. And we are thankful to our Creator, our God, to allow us to live in peace and harmony with one another, where we can share love with one another and not hit each other over the head with a stick to try and kill each other. That's horrible. That's the history of idolatry. We don't want that. Theism. That's the solution for our civilization. That's the solution for our political situation, our scientific situation. He goes through and talks about the very recent dishonesty within science. And I wish I could share it with you, but I can't. And it's footnoted and documented. The dishonesty within the scientific community. And what is the cure? The cure is theism. On an individual level, on a community level, on a national level. I pray to God that we would turn our hearts to our Creator and ask Him to give us the self-awareness to see that we need help, that we could see that our hearts are prone to lies, are prone to dishonesty, are prone to corruption. And so that we could deliver ourselves from lying to ourselves and lying to others. That's what I wanted to cover today. I thank you so much for watching. I love you. I pray that God blesses you today. I'm going to put a link to that video. I know it's very long, but if you take out the chunk of the middle and see what a person is like that has lost their self-awareness, I pray for that person too. I hope by today they are able to look back on it and say, yeah, wow, I was blind, but now I see, right? Because he's blind in that video, unfortunately. So I'll put a link to that. And this book was recommended by Robert Malone, so that's why I picked it up off Amazon. It just arrived the other day, and so I'm excited to get through that and read it. I'm sorry for exaggerating about how valuable it is, but it is a powerful book so far. But I have great hopes for the rest. Like I said, I've only read 10% of it. I have no idea who this guy is. It says, oh, okay, yeah, he's a professor at Ghent University in Belgium, and his work has been widely discussed in the media, and it's no wonder. Yeah, so good for him for bringing this important truth to the attention of the global community, so to speak, and hopefully it percolates down into the hearts and minds of those who are most connected to the levers of power in our society today. Because if it does, I think it could have a powerful impact in strengthening our society towards truth and harmony and a better global community that is accepting and loving and not prone to violence and deception and greed and all the bad things that we know are so prevalent in the world today. So again, thank you so much for watching. That's all I wanted to cover today. I don't know when I'm gonna make another video because I feel like I'm done. I don't know how to describe that, but I'm very, very thankful that God has brought us to this new place, and it's the first day of summer. It's the first day of summer, so I don't know what I'm gonna do today, but I gotta unpack more stuff and get settled. So have yourself a fantastic day, and I won't go on and on and on anymore because I already talked too long. But thank you so much for watching. God bless you so much. I pray that you have a wonderful, wonderful summer. This summer of 2022 is the first day of summer, so enjoy the summer. God bless you, and hope to talk to you again real soon, okay? Take care of yourself now. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Take care.